Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, Canada Immigration. We hope you're doing great. In this video, we will talk about decreasing the number of temporary residents by making them permanent, the federal immigration minister suggests. In a significant policy shift, the federal immigration minister proposes a strategy aimed at reducing the number of temporary residents by granting them permanent status. This initiative marks a pivotal moment in immigration policy, aiming to address long-standing challenges while offering stability to those residing temporarily within the country. If you are interested in this topic, to get all the information, pay attention and watch the video through to the end. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. So, without any further delay, let's jump into the video. If you any query, please contact us on Instagram and Gmail. Mark Miller met with his provincial counterparts for the first time since he announced a plan to set limits on the number of new temporary residents to rein in runaway growth. One way Canada plans to shrink the number of temporary residents is to offer them the opportunity to remain permanently. The immigration minister said Friday, but that doesn't mean everyone who wants to stay will be able to. Mark Miller met with his provincial and territorial counterparts for the first time since he announced an unprecedented plan to set limits on the number of new temporary residents. If you any query, please contact us on Instagram and Gmail. The aim is to rein in runaway growth, which has put pressure on the housing market and other services. The minister set a goal to reduce the number of temporary residents over the next 3 years to 5% of Canada's population, down from the 62% it was in 2023. Several ministers warned the new policy would create added demand for their provincial immigration programs as temporary residents apply to stay in the country. They pitched expanding their provincial programs as a win-win solution to keep people in Canada permanently. The fact people are already here, their impact on affordability has already been baked in, so it's smart, Miller said, but it doesn't mean by extension that everyone's entitled to stay here or be here in Canada. Ottawa can also do more to seek people who are already in Canada when it comes to federal permanent residency programs, he said. The new targets for temporary residents will be developed over the summer and published in the fall. The government hasn't yet settled on the limits it needs to set on new visas to reduce the temporary resident population. Miller asked provinces to share whatever data they have on the temporary resident population in their borders, including how many end up staying permanently under provincial nominee programs. He's also asked for a better picture of their capacity for newcomers and the pressure population growth is creating in their jurisdictions. If you any query, please contact us on Instagram and Gmail. Already Miller has announced plans to scale back the number of international students by putting a 2-year cap on new admissions in January. The government is also attempting to speed up the time it takes to process asylum claims and, in the recent federal budget, included legislative measures designed to make the deportation process faster when those claims are denied. The final and largest category that has yet to be addressed is temporary work permit holders. How to allocate a finite number of temporary visas was a focus of the talks, the ministers said in a press release after their meeting. In 2018, there were 337,460 people with temporary work visas. By 2022, that number swelled to 605,851. Miller has said it's a workforce the labor market has become addicted to in recent years. Every province will need to navigate how to overcome that addiction differently. Saskatchewan Immigration Minister Jeremy Harrison says his province hasn't seen the same influx in temporary residents as some others, but the goal is still to transition them to permanent residency as much as possible. But in Manitoba, announcements out of Ottawa about scaling back temporary immigration have been met with an overwhelming surge in applications to the provincial nominee program for permanent residency. Earlier this week, Miller agreed to Manitoba's request to extend the federal work permits for some 6,700 newcomers whose visas were set to expire by the end of the year, to give them time to apply to stay in Canada permanently through the provincial nomination program. Manitoba's immigration minister hopes to see the provincial immigration program expanded down the line as a result. My understanding was if we can do this successfully, then Ottawa is going to be looking upon that favorably and be able to increase our federal allocations, said Manitoba Immigration Minister Malaya Marcelino, referring to the province's immigration program. Most provinces have asked for more control over their immigration, and want to tailor the way the reduction in temporary residents will play out in their labor markets. The new temporary visa target will significantly slow population growth. While that could ease some pressure on housing costs and availability, it could also result in worker shortages, said Andrew Grantham, an executive director at CIBC Economics, in a report published last month. Restrictions on population growth could result in companies having to offer higher wages to encourage persons to remain in, or rejoin, the workforce. We could lose some firms that are simply not profitable if they are unable to tap low-paid foreign workers, Grantham said. While the federal and provincial governments promise to figure out that balance, labor economist Mikhail Skuterud said work visas shouldn't be considered in isolation. "You can't do that, it's part of the whole system," said Skuterud, an economist with the University of Waterloo. He was among the first to warn the government to temper the massive rise in people who migrate to Canada temporarily to work or study. Skuterud credits increase to changes to the criteria for permanent residence, which were designed to fill specific labor gaps. Those changes have created an incentive for lower-skilled workers to come to Canada in hopes of getting permanent residency. That's what's luring huge numbers to come, and it's creating this problem in the non-permanent resident population, he said. That can make students and workers vulnerable to predatory practices by some recruiters, consultants, and employers who can profit off their precarious status in Canada, he said. He suggests the problem could be reversed by creating a more predictable and transparent path to permanent residency for newcomers. As discussions continue on immigration reform, the suggestion by the federal immigration minister to transition temporary residents to permanent status underscores a proactive approach to immigration policy. This proposal seeks to not only streamline pathways to residency but also to foster integration and contribute to the long-term social and economic fabric of the nation. If you have any query, please contact us on Instagram and Gmail. That is all for today. In this video, what are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next video. Till then, take care.